Listen, I have been working security at the Nexus Arena for 11 cycles now, and I thought I had seen everything. Every species, every conflict, every stupidly dangerous event that promoters could dream up for profit. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for what happened the night they brought in a human female for the exhibition matches. My name is Vorik. I am a Cathalian, which means I stand about 3 meters tall, have 4 arms, and can crush steel with my bare hands. I am what you would call intimidating. At least, I was until that night. The whole thing started when promoter Gilix, a slimy Vendorian with more greed than sense, decided he wanted to capitalize on the recent human admission to the Galactic Council. Humans were still new, still mysterious, still wrapped in rumors and whispered warnings. Most species knew them as the Deathworlders, the crazy mammals from a planet that actively tried to kill everything on it. Gravity twice the standard. Weather that could snap from calm to catastrophic in minutes. Predators everywhere, poison plants, diseases that evolved faster than you could cure them. But Gilix? He saw profit. It will be spectacular, he kept saying, his 3 tongues flicking excitedly. A human female. They are smaller than their males. The crowds will love watching her struggle against our champion. I tried to warn him. Sir, the humans, they have a reputation for a reason. Their military conquered the Xarkon raiders in 3 planetary cycles. 3. That war was supposed to last decades. Gilix waved a tentacle dismissively. That was their military, Vorik. Trained soldiers. This is just a civilian, a female civilian. What could possibly go wrong? Famous last words, as the humans say. The fighter they brought in was named Vance. She was young, maybe 25 in Earth years, which I later learned was barely into adulthood for humans. She stood only 1.7 meters tall, had long dark hair tied back in what humans call a ponytail, and weighed maybe 60 kilograms soaking wet. She wore simple training clothes, nothing fancy, just a black tank top and flexible pants. When I first saw her in the holding area, she was doing something called stretching, bending her body in ways that looked uncomfortable, pulling her legs up behind her head, twisting her spine. I remember thinking she looked fragile, breakable, like a small bird that had wandered into a predator's den. How wrong I was. You understand the rules? I asked her, keeping my voice professional. This is a standard exhibition match. 3 rounds. First to incapacitation or submission wins. Medical teams on standby. She looked up at me with these bright green eyes and smiled. Actually smiled. Yeah, I got it. Thanks for checking, big guy. Big guy. She called me big guy. Me, a Cathalian warrior who had personally subdued rampaging Thoraxians, and she said it with this casual warmth, like we were old friends. Your opponent is Dracus, I continued, feeling obligated to warn her. He is a Mrogian champion. 2.5 meters, 140 kilograms, exoskeleton plating, 4 victories by knockout. Are you certain you want to proceed? Kira stood up, rolling her shoulders. I heard her joints pop, a disturbing crackling sound. Look, I appreciate the concern, I really do. But I signed the contract. Plus, the prize money goes to building schools back on Earth, so yeah, I am pretty motivated. She was doing this for schools. Not glory, not personal gain. Schools. I should have known then, should have recognized the sign. Very well, I said. 5 minutes until the match begins. The arena was packed, absolutely packed. Beings from 40 different species had come to watch the human female fight. Some were curious. Most were expecting entertainment at her expense. The betting pools heavily favored Dracus, with odds at 20-1 against the human. I took my position at the arena entrance, watching the screens. The announcer, a Quilvan with a voice like grinding metal, was working the crowd into a frenzy. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored guests of all species. Tonight, we have a special exhibition match. In the red corner, weighing 140 kilograms, with 4 knockout victories and 0 defeats, the Mrogian mauler, Dracus. The crowd roared. Dracus entered the arena, his exoskeleton gleaming under the lights, mandibles clicking in anticipation. He raised his 4 arms in victory before the match had even started. Arrogant. That would cost him. And in the blue corner, the announcer continued, and I swear I heard amusement in his voice, weighing only 60 kilograms, From the recently contacted Deathworld Earth, making her arena debut, Kira Vance. The crowd laughed. Actually laughed. Kira walked into the arena like she was taking a stroll in a park. Calm, relaxed, breathing steady. Drakus looked down at her and clicked his mandibles in what I recognized as Mrogian laughter. "This is the mighty human? This small thing? I will try not to break too many bones, little creature." Kira tilted her head, and that smile appeared again. But this time, it was different. Colder. "That's sweet. I will try to leave you conscious enough to remember this." The referee, a neutral Korthan, signaled the start of the match. Drakus charged immediately, using his favorite tactic of overwhelming smaller opponents with speed and mass. He crossed the distance in seconds, all four arms reaching to grapple. Kira moved. I have watched thousands of fights, countless species, countless techniques, but I had never seen anything move like she did. She did not just dodge, she flowed, her body bending and twisting with impossible fluidity. Drakus grabbed air. His momentum carried him forward, and Kira was suddenly behind him. She jumped, and for a moment I thought she was retreating. Then I saw her legs wrap around Drakus's neck from behind, her body weight pulling him backward. She twisted in mid-air, using leverage I did not think was possible, and Drakus crashed to the ground, face first. The arena went silent. Drakus roared, scrambling to his feet. His exoskeleton had cracked slightly where his face hit the arena floor. He was angry now, truly angry. "Lucky move, human," he snarled. Kira stood a few meters away, bouncing slightly on her feet, hands raised in a defensive posture. "Yeah, lucky. Let's go with that." The sarcasm was not lost on anyone. Drakus charged again, this time more controlled, all four arms working in coordination to corner her. He was faster now, more focused. Kira backed up, and for a moment I thought she was trapped against the arena wall. Then she ran at the wall, actually ran at it. Her feet hit the vertical surface, and she kept running, defying gravity for 3 steps before launching herself backward in a flip over Drakus's head. As she passed over him, her elbow came down hard on the back of his skull. The impact echoed through the arena. Drakus stumbled, his legs wobbling. "What in the 7 hells?" Someone behind me whispered. Kira landed in a crouch, never taking her eyes off her opponent. Drakus turned, slower now, and I could see the calculation in his eyes. He was realizing what I was starting to understand. This was not luck, this was skill. Refined, deadly skill. "You are quick," Drakus admitted, circling her. "But speed alone will not defeat me. My exoskeleton can withstand impacts that would shatter your bones." Kira nodded slowly. "Yeah, about that. See, where I come from we have this saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Also, exoskeletons have joints. Joints are weak points." Before Drakus could process that, she moved again. This time, she did not dodge. She charged straight at him. Drakus swung with 2 arms, powerful strikes that could have decapitated most beings. Kira ducked under the first, sidestepped the second, and then she did something that made my blood run cold. She targeted his knee joint. Her leg swept in low, fast, and with every ounce of her body weight behind it. The crack was audible throughout the arena. Drakus's leg buckled, the joint shattered. He dropped to one knee, roaring in pain. Kira did not stop. She moved behind him, grabbed one of his arms, and twisted. I know Mrogian anatomy. That arm was dislocated in 3 places before Drakus could even reach for her with another limb. "Yield," she said quietly. Not demanding, not threatening, just stating a fact. Drakus tried to grab her with his remaining arms. She broke another joint, then another. "Yield," she repeated. The crowd was no longer laughing. They were watching in stunned horror as this small human systematically dismantled a champion fighter twice her size. She was not being cruel, she was not grandstanding, she was simply efficient, methodical, every movement precise, every strike calculated. It was terrifying. Drakus finally yielded, his voice broken with pain and shock. The medical team rushed in immediately, and Kira stepped back, her breathing barely elevated. There was not a mark on her. The arena remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, someone started clapping, then another. Then the entire crowd erupted, not in laughter, but in genuine awe. Kira walked toward the exit where I was standing. As she passed, She looked up at me with those green eyes and shrugged. Told you I was motivated. That was when Promoter Gilix made his second mistake of the evening. He appeared on the arena screen, his greed overriding any sense of caution. Ladies and gentlemen, that was merely the preliminary. We have a special announcement. Tomorrow night, Kira Vance will face not one, but 3 opponents simultaneously. A true test of human capabilities. Kira stopped walking. Her shoulders tensed. I did not agree to that, she said quietly. Gilix laughed. Your contract states you must participate in events as scheduled by the promoter. And I have scheduled this. The crowds will be even bigger. The profits will be. Do not care about your profits, Kira interrupted, her voice still quiet but now carrying an edge. I care about keeping my word and helping kids get an education. But if you are going to change the terms, we are going to have a conversation about ethics. And trust me, you do not want to have that conversation with a human. The threat was subtle, but everyone watching understood it. Even Gilix seemed to hesitate, his tentacles quivering slightly. But greed won out. The match is scheduled, he declared, tomorrow night. Be ready. I watched Kira's expression change. The friendly warmth disappeared, replaced by something calculating, something cold. Okay, she said softly. Okay then. That night I went home and did something I had never done before. I researched humans, not the tourist information or the diplomatic summaries. I went deep into their military history, their evolution, their culture. What I found made me unable to sleep. Humans were endurance predators. They evolved by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They could regulate their body temperature through sweating, allowing them to run for hours in conditions that would kill most species. Their throwing ability, developed from millions of years of hunting, was unmatched in the known galaxy. Their pattern recognition was so advanced they could predict behavior from minimal data. Their ability to adapt, to learn, to overcome was legendary. And their females? They went through something called childbirth, where a human infant with a disproportionately large head passed through an opening in the female's body that physics said should not accommodate it. The survival rate on Earth was high because human females had evolved to handle what would kill most species outright. Human females were not weak. They were not fragile. They were survivors of a process so traumatic that most species considered it impossible, and tomorrow, Gilix was going to put 3 trained fighters against one of them. I sent a message to my supervisor. Request additional medical teams for tomorrow's event. Multiple casualties expected. The response came back immediately. Approved. But Vorik, what are you not telling me? I stared at my screen for a long moment before typing my reply. We made a mistake. A very, very bad mistake. The next evening, the arena was beyond capacity. Word had spread across the station about what happened to Dracus. Some said it was exaggerated. Others swore they had witnessed a monster in human skin. The betting pools were chaos. Nobody knew what odds to set anymore. I arrived early for my shift and found Kira in the same holding area, sitting cross-legged on the floor with her eyes closed. At first I thought she was sleeping, but her breathing was too controlled, too deliberate. It is called meditation, she said without opening her eyes. Helps me focus. You knew I was here? I asked, genuinely surprised. I had not made a sound. Your footsteps. Each species has a different rhythm. Cathalians have a heavy front step, lighter back step because of how your leg joints work. Now she opened her eyes and looked at me. You researched us last night, didn't you? How could she possibly know that? Your body language changed, she continued, standing up and stretching again with those disturbing popping sounds. Yesterday you were professionally concerned. Today you are worried. That means you learned something that scared you. This female was reading me like I was a children's story. I learned that humans are far more dangerous than your reputation suggests, I admitted. And I learned that your females endure trials that would break most species. Kira laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yeah, well, we do not exactly advertise that part. Bad for diplomatic relations when people find out your entire species is basically running on spite and stubbornness, she paused, then added more softly, Look, Vorik, I know what tonight is. 3-on-1. Gilix wants a spectacle. He wants to see me lose, to put the scary humans in their place. You could refuse, I suggested. breach of contract would cost you, but it would not cost you your health. Cannot do that, she said firmly. If I back down, it sends a message that humans quit when things get hard. That is not who we are. Plus, those schools need funding. She smiled that cold smile again. Besides, Gilix made a critical error in judgment. What error? He assumed last night was me at full capacity. It was not. I was being gentle because Dracus did not know any better. He was just doing his job. But tonight? Her eyes hardened. Tonight I am facing 3 fighters who volunteered knowing what I can do. That means they think they can take me. That means I do not have to hold back. A chill ran down my spine. That was you holding back. Vorik, I am a 3rd-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 2nd degree in Muay Thai, and I cross-trained in Krav Maga for 4 years. Last night I used maybe 20% of what I know. Tonight, these fighters are going to learn why humans spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of hurting each other. Before I could respond, Gilix appeared with his entourage, tentacles quivering with excitement. Kira, my star attraction, are you ready for your grand performance? Kira turned to face him, and I saw something in her expression that made me step back instinctively. Let me be very clear about something, Gilix. After tonight, my contract is fulfilled. You will release me, you will pay the agreed amount to the Earth Education Fund, and you will never contact me or any other human again. Because if you do, I will personally ensure that every government, every news outlet, and every rights organization in the galaxy knows exactly how you conduct business. Gilix's skin changed colors, a sign of Vendorian anger. You threaten me? You are nothing but... Choose your next words very carefully, Kira interrupted, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Because I promise you, whatever insult you are about to say, I have heard worse from scarier beings than you, and unlike you, they could actually back up their threats. The holding area went silent. Gilix stared at her, his 3 tongues working nervously. Finally he managed. The match begins in 10 minutes. Be ready. After he left, I had to ask, why do you antagonize him? He controls your contract. Kira shrugged. Because bullies like him only understand one language. Power. If I show weakness, he will exploit it forever. If I show strength, he will think twice before messing with the next human who comes through here. She looked at me directly. Your people seem honorable, Vorik. But there are species out here who will take advantage of kindness. We learned that the hard way when we first made contact. Better to be feared and respected than liked, and exploited. Wise words from someone so young. The arena announcer began his introduction, and I walked with Kira to the entrance. For what it is worth, I said quietly, I hope you succeed tonight. She grinned, and for a moment I saw genuine warmth return to her face. Thanks, big guy. Do me a favor, though. Make sure those medical teams are actually ready. This is going to get messy. The crowd was deafening as she entered the arena. On the opposite side, 3 fighters emerged together. Vex, a saurian reptilian with toxic claws. Thorna, a Kashyyyk female with 4 blade-like arms and a reputation for brutality. And Gorth, a massive Urgoth male who stood 3.5 meters tall and weighed over 200 kilograms. The 3 of them together had 46 victories and only 3 losses. They were champions, killers, professionals. Kira looked tiny, standing across from them. The referee gave the rules. Standard match. Ends when one side cannot continue or yields. Medical. Intervention if life signs become critical. Any last words, human? Gorth rumbled, his voice like an avalanche. Kira rolled her neck, and I heard more of those pops. Yeah, I am sorry in advance. This is not personal. The bell rang. Vex moved first, fastest of the 3, his toxic claws aimed for her throat. Kira dropped low, so low her back nearly touched the ground, and his claws passed through empty air. Her leg swept out and caught Vex behind his knee. As he fell, she was already moving toward Thorna. Thorna swung 2 of her blade arms in a scissor pattern that should have caught Kira between them. Should have. Kira twisted, impossibly flexible, and both blades missed by centimeters. Then her hand shot out, fingers rigid, and struck Thorna's throat. The Kashyyyk staggered back, gasping. Gorth charged, and this time there was nowhere to dodge. He was too big, too fast, covering too much ground. Kira did not try to dodge. She ran at him. At the last second, she dropped into a slide, passing between his legs. As she slid beneath him, her elbow struck upward into the back of his knee with devastating force. Gorth crashed forward, his own momentum working against him. 15 seconds. The match had lasted 15 seconds, and all three opponents were on the ground. The crowd went silent again. This was becoming a pattern. But these were champions. They recovered quickly. Vex launched himself at her from behind while Thorna attacked from the front, and Gorth tried to grab her from the side. Coordinated, professional, deadly. Kira moved like water, like wind, like something that existed between physical laws. She ducked Vex, used Thorna's blade arm as a platform to vault over Gorth's reaching hands, and landed behind all three of them. "You are thinking like individuals," she called out, breathing slightly harder now. "You need to think like a unit. Corner me, limit my options, force me into making mistakes." Was she coaching them? Was she actually teaching her opponents how to fight her better? Thorna hissed in anger. "You mock us?" "No," Kira replied seriously. "I respect you. You are skilled fighters. But you are not used to fighting someone who was raised on a world where everything was trying to kill them. Adaptation is survival for humans. You show me a tactic once. I have already figured out 3 counters." Gorth roared and charged again, but this time Thorna and Vex moved with him, creating a net of attacks from multiple angles. Better. Much better. They were learning. Kira's expression became focused, intent. She stopped talking and started moving with increased intensity. She caught Vex's arm, twisted it behind his back, and used his own body as a shield against Thorna's blades. When Gorth reached for her, she released Vex, dropped to the ground, and swept Gorth's legs again. But Gorth had learned. He fell deliberately, his massive arm swinging out to grab her. His hand caught her ankle. Got her. He finally got her. Kira did not panic, did not struggle. She relaxed completely, and in that moment of relaxation, she twisted her body in a way that should have been anatomically impossible. Her free leg came around and her heel struck Gorth's wrist. I heard bones break. He released her, with a bellow of pain. Thorna pressed the advantage, all 4 blade arms working in a pattern too fast to follow. Kira blocked, deflected, redirected, but she was being pushed back. For the first time, she was on the defensive. Vex recovered and attacked from the side. Kira blocked his strike but left herself open to Thorna. A blade arm slashed across her shoulder, drawing first blood. The crowd gasped. The human was bleeding. She could be hurt. Kira looked at her shoulder, at the green blood seeping through her torn shirt. Then she looked at Thorna. Her expression changed. The professional mask slipped, and underneath was something primal, something ancient. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay, now it is real." What happened next was not a fight. It was a demonstration. Kira moved faster than before, harder than before, with a precision that was surgical. She targeted joints, nerve clusters, pressure points. Every strike had a purpose. Every movement was economical. Vex went down first, his toxic claws useless as she dislocated both his shoulders in rapid succession. Thorna lasted longer, her 4 arms providing defense, but Kira systematically broke each one at the elbow joint. When Thorna tried to bite her, a last desperate attack, Kira caught her jaw and applied pressure. Thorna yielded immediately, tears streaming down her face. That left Gorth. The massive Urgoth tried to grab her again, but Kira was done being gentle. She jumped, wrapped her legs around his neck, and twisted. Gorth flipped over, crashing to the ground with earth-shaking force. Before he could recover, she had his arm hyperextended, 1 foot on his throat. "Yield," she commanded. Gorth, proud warrior that he was, tried to break free. Kira applied more pressure. I heard tendons strain. "Yield, or I break it," she said flatly. "Your choice." Gorth yielded. The match was over. 3 champions. Professional fighters, defeated in under 4 minutes. Kira stood slowly, favoring her injured shoulder. Blood was running down her arm now, but she ignored it. She looked up at the booth where Gilix was watching, his skin cycling through colors rapidly. "Contract fulfilled," she said, her voice amplified through the arena speakers. "Payment due to the Earth Education Fund within 24 hours. If it is not received, Earth's diplomatic corps will be very interested in hearing about breach of contract and endangerment of a human citizen." The crowd erupted, not in cheers or boos, but in pure shock, they had witnessed something that would become legend. The night a human female defeated 3 champions alone. The night Earth reminded the galaxy why they were called Deathworlders. I rushed to the medical bay where they had taken Kira. The doctor, a Prillian with 6 eyes, was examining her shoulder. "The wound is clean. You were very fortunate. A centimeter to the left and it would have severed important blood vessels." Kira winced as he applied something that sealed the wound. "Yeah, fortunate. That is me. You should rest for several days," the doctor advised. "Your body has been through significant trauma." "I will rest on the shuttle back to Earth," she replied, sliding off the examination table. She saw me standing in the doorway. "Hey, Vorik, come to make sure I'm not dead?" "Something like that," I admitted. "That was the most impressive display of combat I have ever witnessed." She shrugged with her good shoulder. "It was necessary. Those fighters were good, really good. In a fair fight, any one of them might have beaten me. But I had advantages. I am used to fighting at higher gravity. I am used to managing pain. And I grew up in a culture that has been perfecting martial arts for thousands of..." She paused. "Plus, I was really angry about being manipulated." "Your payment has been confirmed," I told her. "Gilix transferred the full amount an hour ago. The schools will be funded." For the first time since I met her, Kira smiled without any coldness in it. Pure, genuine happiness. "That is all that matters then. Kids back home get a chance at education. Worth a few bruises." Worth a few bruises. She had just fought 3 trained killers and nearly been seriously injured, and she called it worth a few bruises for strangers she would never meet. "Your species is remarkable," I said honestly. Kira laughed. "We are stubborn, violent, and too dumb to know when we are beaten. But yeah, we look out for each other, even the ones we have not met yet." She grabbed her bag with her good arm. "Listen, Vorik, you seem like good people. If you are ever near Earth, look me up. I will show you around. We have this thing called coffee that will absolutely ruin your sleep cycle, but tastes amazing." I helped her to the docking bay where a human transport was waiting. As she boarded, she turned back one last time. "Hey, Vorik, tell your security team something for me. If another promoter tries to exploit a human for entertainment, maybe warn them first. We are peaceful when respected. But we survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and extinction-level events. We do not scare easy, and we do not forget." The shuttle departed, and I stood there watching until it disappeared from view. Then I returned to the arena, where cleanup crews were still working, and people were analyzing recordings of the fight. Gilix was gone. Reportedly, he left the station immediately after transferring the payment. Smart move. I filed my incident report that night. Standard procedure. But I added a note at the end, flagged for station command and any promoters who might read it. The note was simple. Regarding humans and entertainment matches. Recommendation. Do not, word spread fast. Across the station. Within days, it reached other stations. Within weeks, it was being discussed in Galactic Council chambers. The story of Kira Vance, the human female who defeated 3 champions and did it for children she would never meet. Humans became legend that night. Not for their violence, not for their strength, but for their conviction, their willingness to endure pain for a cause, their ability to back up their words with actions. And as for me, I kept her invitation. 3 cycles later, I visited Earth. Kira met me at the spaceport, looking exactly as I remembered, shoulder fully healed. She took me to meet some of the students at the schools her fight had funded. Bright, curious children who asked me questions about the stars and told me their dreams of exploring the galaxy. Over coffee, which was as terrible and wonderful as she had promised, I asked her something that had bothered me since that night. "When you were fighting Thorna and got injured, your expression changed. What were you thinking in that moment?" Kira was quiet for a long time, staring into her coffee cup. "I was thinking about a lesson my first martial arts instructor taught me. She said, 'Pain is temporary, quitting is forever.' When Thorna cut me, I realized this was not just an exhibition anymore, it was real. And when things get real, you do not hold back. You commit completely." "You could have been killed," I pointed out. "Yeah," she agreed. "But I was not. And because I was not, 200 kids got a school. That is a trade I would make every single time. That is humanity in a single statement. They would face death itself if it meant protecting others, teaching others, helping others. No wonder they survived their death world. Nothing in the universe is more dangerous than a species that refuses to quit. I raised my coffee cup in a toast to stubborn species and the trouble they cause. Kira laughed and clinked her cup against mine. To survival, spite, and showing, bullies that size is not everything. Later, as I boarded my shuttle to leave Earth, I took one last look at the blue and green planet below. Beautiful, deadly, home to a species that had clawed their way from prey animals to apex predators through sheer determination. And I smiled, because I knew something that most of the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Humans were not to be feared because they were violent. They were to be feared because they were unstoppable. Every obstacle they faced, they overcame. Every enemy that pushed them down, they stood back up from. Every disaster that should have ended them, they survived. They wanted to see a Deathworlder girl fight. They saw a species remember why they feared Earth. And the galaxy would never forget.